Day 24, trusting the good that is still here. I'm Avery, and welcome to Daily Grace. This season, we are walking through a series called Trust, a steady return to God. Take a slow breath, let your shoulders soften for a moment. Wherever you are listening today, allow yourself to arrive here without pressure. There is no need to rush through this moment. Just settle. Another quiet breath. Trust often grows in places we do not expect. We imagine trust as something strong and confident, something clear, something that feels certain. But many times, trust begins in a quieter way. It begins in small noticing, small moments of steadiness, small reminders that not everything has been lost. When life moves through a difficult season, our attention naturally moves towards what is painful, what is missing, what has changed. And this is human. Our hearts try to make sense of what feels uncertain. And in those moments, it can feel as though goodness has disappeared, as though the light in life has grown dim. But the quiet truth is that goodness rarely disappears completely. Even in the middle of hardship, something good is still present. Sometimes it is small, almost easy to overlook. A quiet moment of peace in the middle of a busy day, a kind word from someone who did not realize how much you needed it, a simple breath that feels a little lighter than the one before it. These small things do not erase the difficulty. They do not solve everything, but they remind us that goodness still lives in the world, and trust often grows when we begin to notice that. Noticing goodness does not require us to pretend everything is easy. It does not mean we ignore what hurts. It simply means we allow our eyes to see what is still present, what has not disappeared, what is quietly holding us up even when life feels uncertain. The Bible speaks to this in a gentle way. Psalm 27:13 says, I remain confident of this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. This is not a rushed confidence. It is not loud. It is a quiet, steady belief that goodness still exists. Even when life feels complicated, even when the road ahead is unclear, there are seasons when that goodness is easy to see. And there are seasons when it appears more slowly. But the promise remains. God's goodness does not disappear when life becomes difficult. Sometimes it simply becomes quieter. Sometimes it becomes smaller. Sometimes it shows up in ways we did not expect. I remember a season in my own life when everything was just really heavy for me. I had many questions, things I had wished had turned out differently. And during that time, my thoughts kept circling the same worries again and again. So one evening, I stepped outside for a short walk. Just a quiet moment at the end of the day. The air was cool, the street was calm, and as I walked, I noticed something. The sky was slowly changing color as the sun moved lower. Soft gold, faint pink, the kind of sky that you might normally pass without thinking about it. But that evening I stopped and I realized something small but meaningful. The beauty of that sky had nothing to do with the problems I was carrying. Life still held moments of goodness, even while my heart was still figuring things out. That moment did not fix everything. It did not remove the questions, but it reminded me that God's goodness had not disappeared. It was still there, waiting to be noticed. And sometimes that is where trust begins again, not in big answers, but in the simple realization that goodness is still present. The warmth of the sunlight through a window, a peaceful moment of silence, the steady rhythm of your own breath. These things may seem small, but they are reminders. Reminders that God is still present. Reminders that life still holds beauty. Reminders that trust does not need perfect circumstances to grow. It only needs small evidence that goodness remains. And often that evidence is already around us, quietly present. You may be walking through a season right now where many things feel uncertain, where your heart is still learning how to trust again. If that is where you are, no pressure here. Trust grows slowly. Sometimes the first step is simply noticing that the good still exists, the kindness that still appears, the calm that occasionally finds its way into the day. These small signs do not replace what has been hard, but they remind us that God has not stepped away. Goodness still lives here, even in this season, even in this moment. So today, simply allow yourself to notice what is still good, not to force gratitude, just not to convince yourself of anything, just to notice a small moment, a quiet kindness, a gentle breath. These small pieces of goodness often become the places where trust slowly grows again. God's goodness is still present in the land of the living, and sometimes the most faithful thing we can do is simply allow ourselves to see it, even in small ways, even today. May you move through this day gently. May you remember that trust does not have to rush. God is steady, and you are still being held. Until next time, this is Avery.